All right, let us get going with Kabbalah of Meaning. First of all, this is our second to last class of this course, which is very sad, no? Very sad, there we go.
Yes.
So, I just want to point out to you that there's a value in Judaism, which the holiday of Hanukkah captures, which is we only move upward. We start with one candle, but we don't rest with doing one step of light. We always move on to step number 2. So, I want to encourage you, I want to introduce to you our next Jewish course. It's going to be a whole different genre, but I want to share it with you. I actually had the honor, thank you so much, Julia, maybe give it a close. Can you close the door? What was that? All right. This is our next course coming up. Towards the end of January, we begin. I had the honor of actually being on the editorial board of this course. So a full year ago, we're working hard on this course, Captivating Cases in Rabbinic Responsa. First of all, if you ever want to get a hands-on understanding of how Judaism evolved over the past 2,000 years, this is an unbelievable course. We're going to go through Jewish history. We're going to go through every single location, including Mars, every era, Berlin, every single era, every single type of challenge that the Jewish people have faced. So this is real on Jewish history and the challenges that Jewish people are facing and how they're turning to Judaism for guidance. So every single class is basically between 4 to 6 case studies, literal, actual case studies from the Jewish text. And we're going to, first of all, understand Jewish history and most practically what brought us to here today. And how Judaism is really evolving in real time to tackle the needs of the time. It's on a personal level, we're talking about people, we're talking about communities, very, very big things. Fascinating stuff. 6-week course starting soon. Okay, here's a little promotion.
Introducing Captivating Cases in Rabbinic Responsa, a new course that explores the fascinating world of Rabbinic Responsa, a vast treasury of the down-to-earth questions Jews asked across history, and the rabbis' profound responses. Discover what was on their minds, and how Jewish tradition responds to a rapidly changing world.
All right, it's not accredited for social workers and psychologists, but it is for lawyers, which interestingly, by the way, Michigan is one of the few states that does not require lawyers to do continuing education.
That is weird.
That is weird. But which is a negative for me because we could be getting a lot of Jewish lawyers coming to study more Judaism because we got these classes accredited. So I am personally lobbying that lawyers in Michigan should start needing CLEs. I have
Really
what was that? We'll start getting
Don't tell me.
we'll start getting the medics not just for the social worker classes but also for the lawyer classes. It's wonderful. So, all right, this is our next big topic, but that is coming up soon. Kabbalah of Meaning, dear friends, lesson number 5. The rubber is really hitting the road over here. Meaning in the Unchosen. All right, what's the famous line from Fiddler on the Roof? I know we're the chosen people, but why do you have to choose me all the time? There's you know that line? Okay, but I got to be honest with you, I've never really watched. I never really. Hey, how you doing, Mark?
Wait.
We just spoke about you.
Where's Lisa? She's here. We know you're late. Oh, there she is.
Dear friends, here's what we're up to. This course has slowly been unraveling a mystery for us, the mystery of purpose in Judaism. The first class, we spoke about the general concept of how Judaism sees the importance of living meaningfully. Lesson 2, we started really going deeper, establishing how we need to be moving from meaning to a search for purpose. Meaning is, right, we're barking up the wrong tree. We got the wrong eyes on the wrong goal. It's about purpose. Lesson 3, we really went into what is the underlying purpose of all of existence. To bring the holiness, to bring God onto earth, to fuse those two realms together. And last class, which was actually it was a very special class last week. 2 weeks ago. I really enjoyed it. The rhythms of time, how part of the search for purpose very deeply touches time. And dear friends, we're up to a critical point right now. which is okay. We've laid down a lot of groundwork, but ultimately, on a very personal level, we spoke more on a general level, on the big picture, what's the big purpose. All of existence ties into the big purpose, but in my life, how could I determine what my personal purpose is? Which is especially something that people wonder and really start realizing that they're bothered by that question when life is not going the way they want it to, right? When life is going as planned and you feel good about everything, you don't realize that maybe there's a deeper purpose you should be seeking out. But it's especially noticeable that, one second, what's going on over here? When things start maybe going wrong, right? You start, why is this happening to me? Why are things not working out? Why am I in situations that I did not want to be in? So this class has a dual role. We're going to talk both about the philosophy of it, but it's not just philosophy. It's very down to earth. But also, if you want to call it the self-help aspect of how this idea of what's my personal purpose, how does Judaism teach us how to find personal purpose? In my personal life, my unique life situation, that's what we're here to talk about tonight. And dear friends, tonight, as promised in the course, Kabbalah of Meaning, we're going to be talking about a lot of meaning tonight, and we're also going to be talking a lot of Kabbalah. You ready for Kabbalah stuff? We're going to be going a little bit deep. We're going to be talking about theology, but most importantly, cosmology. Fancy words over here, no? All right, there's theology, which is God, and then there's cosmology, which is basically existence, the cosmos, the relationship between God and reality. That's what we're here to talk about tonight. So the story goes like this. Towards the early founding of the state of Israel, there's a family that settles on a kibbutz, and they are staunchly, religiously secular. We don't really have that so much in America, religious secularism. But in Israel, especially back in the day, that's like a real thing. I believe in secularism. I believe in atheism, like as a religion. And they wanted their kids to have nothing to do with religion. They actually sent their kid to the Christian school, but at least no Jewish education. We're secular Jews. We don't want to hear anything about Judaism. Anyway, one day the 6-year-old kid comes home and tells the parents, I learned today about the Trinity. And the father says, hey, kid, sit down with me right now. I want to tell you something. We're Jews. There's only one God, and we don't believe in him. But there's only one God. Don't Trinity me. Very deep story, by the way. Very, very profound story. Okay, but dear friends, I want to talk today about God. Now, what does God have to do with meaning in my life? Okay. Now, as we're going to start learning and talking about God over here, I want to just give a little quote over here from a book that I've mentioned, I think, in the first class. It's a very, very powerful thing. It's very, very interesting. Not that Judaism needs any backing to prove it, but it is very, very interesting. A few years ago, there was a psychologist and a researcher. Her name is Lisa Miller, Dr. Lisa Miller, a Jewish psychologist. And she went out to do research and to write a book. And she did not plan on this, as far as I understand. She did not plan on it, but she ended up reaching the conclusion that spirituality is core to mental health. And even more than that, it's natural to the human being. This was her big, big thing. This was her big argument. This was her big break. She made, her book was, I'm pretty sure, a New York Times bestseller, is that spiritual awareness is natural and is necessary to the human condition. This was her finding, which, by the way, is not news to Judaism. But it's nice that from the secular perspective, this has emerged as well. So I want to read this with you. Cheryl, let's start on my left side. You ready to do a little bit of a reading? You want to pass?
No, I would love to read, but I forgot my book.
Ooh, first of all, no, I don't, here. So share.
I have cooties, but is that okay?
Okay, what page?
All right, so we're on page 129, and we're jumping straight to text number 2, spiritual wiring.
Spiritual wiring. Each of us is endowed with a natural capacity to perceive a greater reality and consciously connect to the life force that moves in, through, and and around us. Whether or not we participate in a spiritual practice or adhere to a faith tradition, whether or not we identify as religious or spiritual, our brain has a natural inclination toward and a docking station for spiritual awareness. An awakened brain is available to all of us right here in our neural circuitry, but we have to choose to engage it. It's a muscle we can learn to strengthen or let atrophy.
So you call it spirituality. I'm going to call it faith. I'll call it faith, which is very interesting. Human beings, as much as we want to say that, no, I'm all into science and only science, no, actually, psychology says that the human being needs spirituality, a faith-based perspective to life as a way to interpret life. I would actually very much argue that the major mental health challenge that we're seeing with our youth today, I think, is very deeply rooted in the fact that they don't have spirituality. And on the other hand, they have the time and the mental space to wonder about life. So if you grew up in a pre-war era, you weren't busy thinking about am I happy or not. You're busy thinking about the fact you have a toothache, which there's no way to get rid of, and you're busy trying to figure out how to eat, how to survive, and how to get another slice of bread. Say, it's a very unique time that we live in. At the time, I mentioned this, I spoke about this in the first class. The youth especially, you have a lot of time. Everything's very comfortable, so nothing's really bothering you. You have your own bedroom, you have your own king-size bed, right? No problem, right? You want to play guitar, you get a guitar. Everybody's comfortable. So people have real, our youth are looking for something deeper. And there's something, definitely there's an internal scream. There's for a search for meaning. Okay, so Lisa Miller is saying spirituality is very, very central. So what I want to do today is a faith-based concept. It's absolutely faith-based. It's spiritual. Please don't ask me for empirical proof to back this, because Kabbalah doesn't work that way. This is a spiritual concept, and it's very deep. You ready? Ready, Mark?
Yeah.
All right. No, like really ready. Okay. All right, here we got going. Dear friends, there is a radical, crazy idea hiding in plain sight in the daily Jewish prayer. So if you ever went to a shul on a Shabbat morning, if you went to a shul on any morning, this is sitting right there. I want to read it with you, and then I want to unpack it with you. And Mark, you're going to read this one. Text number 3 on page 129 from the Siddur.
Right below her, okay. In his goodness?
Mm-hmm.
In his goodness, God renews each day, continually the act of creation. As it is said, give thanks to he who makes great luminaries, for his kindness is eternal.
That's the whole quote. Now, is it big news to say that God is the creator? Is that big news in Judaism? No, right? We could all get behind that. That's not big news. Okay. But is that what this text is saying? Are we saying that God is the creator of the heaven and the earth?
Not here.
What are we saying here?
It happens every morning.
Ooh. That it's not just that it happened, but that it's happening continually and God's renewing it each day. As it says, and we have a proof here from the Psalms, he who makes great luminaries. What's the big proof there? It doesn't say he who made great luminaries. When did God make the sun? How long ago did God make the moon? Comes along Psalm, says, no, he's making them. What do you mean making them? It's there. No, he's making them. So you can just say, okay, it's a form of poetry. That's one way. Or you could actually say that Judaism, and what I'm going to do right now, at least I love what you said last week. You said last week, and I think it's an exact quote. So in short, you're turning my Judaism upside down. Yeah? Was that what you said last week? Yeah, okay. Let's try to do that again. Let me turn your world upside down. My co-author on the Tanya project, on the book that I'm working on, which actually I have a sample of it here if you guys want to see it. His name is Zvi Freeman, who's my senior partner. He's deep into his career. I think he just turned 70 years old. I'm the young end of the stick. So whenever he writes an article online, he also does like a podcast where he says it. And the way he introduces, podcasts need like a little opening. He says, let me turn your world upside down. Hey, hello, how you doing? Come on in. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I know, it's a bit rough out there. All right. Generally speaking, when we speak about, all right, here we have, okay, here's a big question. How can I find my purpose in life? Let me actually give you an interesting teaser. How can I find my purpose in life? This is a bad question. At the end of the class, we'll see that actually this is not a good question to ask. But for right now, let's ask the question. How can I find my personal purpose in life? And we spoke about the spiritual wiring. Spiritual perception is innate. Faith is in the DNA, especially the Jewish people. The Talmud says that the Jewish people are ma'aminim b'nei ma'aminim. We're believers, the children of believers. A Jew believes, whether you like it or not. You know they say Chabad's very non-judgmental? I'll tell you a secret. We're very judgmental. What do I mean? If I go and ask somebody, I'm starting a new class to study a topic in Torah, do you want to join? And they say, I'm not interested. I don't tell them this because I'm cordial. But I don't believe them. I don't believe you. Nah, I'm not going to force you to come. So, but I don't believe you. If I offer a Jew, would you like to put on tefillin? And they say, no. I don't believe them. Now, it's not that they're lying to me. I believe that they don't even realize themselves that they're not saying the truth. But I absolutely believe that I don't buy into that. I was just sitting with somebody and they said, okay, the work of Chabad is a niche. It's niche. You're trying to find a niche target audience. You got to go find it. It's a big community. You got to find the niche people. And I'm like, no, that's not my attitude. Every single Jew that lives in this area is my target audience. They just don't know it yet. Either I could convince them or they have to come to it on their own. But if there's one fact that Jewish history has proven, it's that every single Jew, no matter what, carries within them a deep connection, deep faith. And by the way, you don't have to go back to stories of history. The hostages. Every single last one of them. Unbelievable. Unbelievable how it's not being spoken about more. One of the hostages that just came out, after 2 years. 2 years. He said he got to speak at Hostage Square. He was for a few weeks he was in the hospital. They were making sure that he's healthy. What was that?
I think he got out yesterday or something.
No. This was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay, there was one that
Just got out yesterday. His name is Bar Cooperstein. He didn't come from a religious family. Okay, we're not talking about somebody who's like didn't go to Hebrew school. He said, my entire time in captivity, the only thing that I was thinking about and the only thing I was looking forward to was actually able to come out and put on tefillin and say Shema Yisrael together with all of you. And he says, therefore, this Friday morning, I want all of you here to join me with my family. And I'm going to put on tefillin and I want to say Shema Yisrael with all of you. And it's like, who told him to say that? This is a totally secular kid. Probably the kind of person who would say, I'm not interested in putting on tefillin before. So what exactly happened in a tunnel in Gaza that gave him faith? It's just because it's the truth. So in any case, okay, I'm already getting off topic over here. Or maybe this is on topic. Okay. Let's get back to the Kabbalah over here. The Kabbalah is like this. There's also another one. There was just recently an interview with one of the hostages just came out. He did his first English interview. And he said that when he was caught, the first thing that happened were the terrorists were beating him. But he said, I didn't even feel any pain. It was like an out-of-body moment. He felt disconnected from his physical senses. And he says his eyes went white. Nothing existed. He wasn't feeling any pain. He knew they were hitting him, but he didn't feel any pain. And all he had in front of him was his parents, his siblings, and God. What does it even look like? I don't know. He says, that was my truth. I had God with me the whole time. Again, this is not a religious kid. Simchas Torah morning, he's at a Nova concert, I'm saying. Nova festival. It's a very powerful thing. It's very important to know. If you're a Jew, you're carrying tremendous power. And with tremendous power, right, comes great responsibility. So, this is something important to know. Even if right now I'm not so much in the space of having faith, I doubt my faith. No. Don't believe yourself. Meaning, okay, you have to judge yourself. So, that was the Rebbe's education to us. Don't believe Jews when they say they're not interested. Just don't believe it. Be nice about it, but just don't believe it. Try again. Okay. Okay. Generally speaking, when you go to Hebrew school and you learn about Genesis, you're going to learn that there were 6 days of creation. God created the world. And then what did God do after 6 days? He rested. And then what happened? After rest? Did God continue creating after that? Conventionally speaking. You go to, no, I don't know, 6 days of creation, and then it was over. Nothing more got created after the 6 days, right? No, Mark? No, I know, no, but I want to...
He makes
I know.
luminaries for his.
Oh, but I want to tease out over here. What's the big shift over here? There's a massive paradigm shift here. We generally think that God created the world. God made everything: the sun, the star, the moons, planet Earth, bodies of water, earth, everything God set into motion. And then what did God do after that? Did God have to continue making anything? No. This is conventional understanding. This is pre-Kabbalah. Now, it's not just Kabbalah. It's really core Judaism, but Kabbalah really fleshes this out. Which means like this. If I build this table, which I did not, by the way, you don't want to, please don't buy a table that I built. You wouldn't want it. But right, theoretically, if I would build a building, if I would build a table, do I have to come back and rebuild it the next morning? Well, it depends. Sometimes I wake up and my kids got up before me, and yeah, some stuff have to be rebuilt. It happens, but right, no, I'm saying something is built by a human being, it's done, it's there, unless somebody destroys it or, eventually it wears down, but you build something, it's there, gone, good. So we assume God created a world, 6 days of creation, 6 meaning not 8, not 20, not 200, okay, 6 days, we're done. God made the world. And then what happens after that? The world's in motion. How is the world in motion? How's the world continuing if God didn't create it?
God made man and man made other things.
So first of all, that's okay. That's about creating new things. But even just how's everything continuing?
What about like the dinosaurs? Is that there's like a theory that God was like, where did God come in time?
Okay, we got it. That's for another class,
Oh.
which we've done, by the way. Maybe we'll do it again about how do you square together scientific discoveries and religious belief about creation, which is, that's a massive topic.
So it
But-
can't be answered in a sentence.
No. You don't want any answer that could be answered in a tweet. If it's a tweet answer, it's not a good answer. Because it's lacking that means it's just a bumper sticker. It's a slogan. It's not carrying any real intellectual depth. So, meaning a question like that, I don't want to answer.
I'm just trying to figure out when you say creation, like where does that start?
Okay, according to Judaism, the world is 5,786 years old.
Okay.
A young world. Oh, what about all the dinosaurs? It's a good question. This is Jewish belief. We have an exact... Adam was created 5,786 years ago. Not more, not less. That's Jewish belief. That's what Jews have been... When Jews say what year it is, they've always been counting back to 5,786 years ago. That's Jewish time. Okay, now... The conventional understanding is, God was a good creator, and he created a world that could kind of self-sustain. We call it laws of nature. The world works perfectly. There's all these laws of gravity and laws of who knows what. And right, that's what science is trying to discover, these laws that God has built into the fabric of nature. And there's seasons that keep the world running, and the weather systems, and the ecosystems, and it's wonderful. Everything is kind of just, and God made everything with the ability to procreate and make more of itself. And therefore, you just have all these species just continuing, and you have a reality. The conventional model is that God made a perfect world. God does not need to be involved in the daily operations of it because God made everything function perfectly. The sun is always going to rise, is always going to set. Everything is just working out well. And when things don't work out well, then what does God have to do? Okay, if there's an emergency, God has to step in. Well, it's like right when corporate steps in, it's like, okay, all right, we'll get involved here. What needs to happen over here? And God will come and split a sea. And God will come and, right, okay, we got to do a miracle over here, right? Get things back on track over here. But the conventional, I want to put this again, conventional, not what we're going to say tonight. We're going to say something radically more different. But conventional understanding is God created, and then we're done. Creation happened. Comes along Judaism, and especially Kabbalah, and says you're getting it wrong. Just read the line in the daily prayers a little bit better. Read Psalms a little bit better. Read everything. It's right there. It's right there in front of you. Judaism does not see creation as something that happened in the past tense. It's something which is happening. God is recreating the world every single second.
Because what's a day? What's 6 days?
No, even a day is a day. A day is our day. A day is our day. There was a week. Same way we have a week. God had a week. God did creative work on every single one of those days of the week, and then he was done.
But whoever got it wrong in the first place by putting it in past tense?
Who got it wrong?
I mean, never you say it's not that he created it in 6 days and rested. It's so that
Well, I'll tell you, from a cursory reading of the Torah, it sounds like that. Creation started, ended, right? And then the car rolls out of the factory line. We're done. Right? Now have fun. Yes.
But if we take the line of he who makes great luminaries, for his kindness is eternal,
Mm-hmm.
that is not past tense, that is present.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so who got it wrong?
Which means,
He created a godly soul.
so here's the thing. This verse tells us there's something much deeper going on over here. And Kabbalah comes and teases this out for us. We're going to read a real text from real Kabbalah, about a 400 or 500-year-old text. It's called the Shalah. The Shalah is really an acronym for a book called Shnei Luchot HaBrit, which means the 2 tablets of the covenant, which was a book written by a great, great, great sage. His name is Rabbi Yeshayahu Halevi Horowitz, one of the most important and influential works of Kabbalah. And let's read. Text number 4. Lisa, we're up to you. Text number 4, page 130. Let's do this.
Continually renewing. The common, hold on it.
Oh, there we go.
Understanding of how the heavenly forces operate is this: God, the blessed creator, brought everything into being from absolute nothingness, and therefore has the power to do whatever he wills, even to override or suspend the natural order. At the outset, he assigned spiritual forces to govern the world, each one appointed over its own realm. The world continues to function according to these systems, as if his hands had stepped back, except on such occasions when he chooses to intervene and override them. Until then, these forces operate through the power he originally placed within them at the time of creation.
So I just want to stop here for a second. This is what we just described, right? Conventional understanding. God created, God is done, but God is still in charge. So whenever God wants, he could come in and meddle around if he so chooses to do. But otherwise, the world is running on its own course of action, right? Autopilot. Okay, continue, Lisa.
But in truth, as it seems to me, our faith teaches otherwise. God in his goodness is constantly and deliberately renewing the act of creation every single day. His influence is ongoing and intentional. If for even a moment he were to withdraw this flow, everything would immediately dissolve into nothingness. All the existence would simply cease.
This is a wild thought. Remember a few weeks ago I told you the story about the guy who came to the tiny class and walked out in a rage that you're ruining my life? Mm-hmm. This is another life ruining point over here. Okay, let's just think about it for a second. I want you to realize, what was that? Just think about this. Existence is not a given. There's no autopilot. God didn't make a world and gets to walk away from it the way we get to walk away when we make something. If I make something, it's there. It's good. It's not going away. But God, if he would step away for a moment, bam, gone. Which means that every single moment, God has to recreate all of reality from scratch. Now, first of all, you just wonder why. Why does it have to be that way? Why is it different from when I create something? What's the problem with God's creation is that it can't be here for good? Okay, well, that's a good question. And I'll try to answer that question at least a little bit. But the core point over here is, well, it doesn't matter. This is what Judaism teaches. What's the Jewish understanding of reality? God's recreating it every single second. And I'll tell you the core point. When we think about creation, we have to realize that our creation is not God's creation. This is the understanding for it. Let me try to understand it better. There's another good Jewish joke. That a team of scientists finally discovered how to recreate the creation of humanity, of sentient life. And they challenged God. They said, God, we figured it out. You made humans. We could also make a human. So God says, all right, I'd love to see what you figured out. Come on in and give us a demonstration. And they say, all right, we're going to bring in all of our stuff. And they start bringing in sacks of dirt. And God says, no. You go get your own dirt. You get it? Well, you bring my dirt? That's my dirt. You want to create something? Go get your own dirt. Which is a very deep little anecdote. What does it teach us? Do we ever really create anything? What's a human creation, for example? AI, and even computers. What's computers? Or let's do something a little bit simpler, because I don't know if we're quantum mechanics over here. At least I'm not. But AI is included in this. Let's just say something very, very simple. What was that?
Build homes.
Oh, there we go. If anybody needs to build a home, Curtis Home Builders right over here. Give 10% to Chabad. All right.
5%. What do you need 3% for?
Is your point that we builders create things, build homes, whatever? Is your point that God allowed that to happen?
No. Here's my point. Can you say that you are creating a home when you build a home? If the person who made this table, probably someone in China, did they create the table? Was there an act of creation here?
Made the table.
Oh, he made the table, didn't create it. What's the difference between making and creating? The answer is that the builder of this did not make the resources, the stuff. I guess it's wood, some plywood in there. There's wood, metal, plastic. We don't make that. We're taking stuff that already exists and simply changing its form. So we as humans don't really create anything concrete in this world. So thinking that why can't God create? Well, first of all, God could do whatever He wants. He doesn't have to follow the system. But this is how God created the system. Our creation is different. Here's the key idea. Okay, God is creating. God is constantly renewing the act of creation. His input is ongoing and intentional. Okay. The difference is like this. When we create, it is something from something. We're taking something that's already here, and now we're making it into a new something. So in other words, it already exists. We're not giving it existence. We are giving it simply form and function. So I don't create pieces of wood. I didn't create the wood. I take pre-existing wood and I just make it into a table or a chair or a utensil which could be used in a certain way, but I'm not creating anything. I'm just changing its form. Its existence is already here. Yes?
How does art fit into that?
1 second. Physically, what are you doing with art? You're taking materials
Yeah.
made out of pre-existing materials, made out of other pre-existing materials, and simply changing it.
Because even if you didn't create the tree, like even if it's wood, you didn't create the
You didn't create the tree.
Or paper.
Nothing.
Same.
Nothing. Yeah.
I think you need to tell us the global warming activists.
1 second. Let's not get political yet. Yeah. Okay, I don't know. Something from something. Something from something. We don't understand what God did. What did God do? Or I'll give you an example of what we do. Something from nothing. To say that God created something, there's a deeper problem with that. It's assuming that God creates like us, which is something from something. God was doing something a lot more radical, something from nothing. Which means this shouldn't be here if not for God actively making it be here. So let's try to find an example within our own world of something from nothing. What's something from nothing? You're getting a little bit close, art. But not the physical artwork.
The imagination.
Oh, the imagination. Ooh.
The thought of it, but it's not there yet. I mean, it's not something until you make it something. It's still a thought.
Right. So you could create something, a creative. Okay. So here's an example. Let's give a very, very practical example. Walt Disney invented something called Mickey Mouse. Did Mickey Mouse exist before Walt Disney came up with him? No. How did he bring Mickey Mouse into being? He drew it. He drew it. And he created what the figure's going to look like. And he gave a voice. I don't know if it's his voice. Right? He gave a voice. And he gave identity, a personality, a storyline, a relationship, a world. He drew it. Come out of full, right? It was like little episodes at the beginning, right? I'm not into Mickey Mouse personally, so I'm using it as an example. I don't really know. Okay, all right. Please excuse my lack of knowledge of Mickey Mouse. Okay. Here's my question. Walt Disney spends a full day drawing and imagining and applying to paper the storyline of Mickey Mouse. Does he come back the next morning and discover the rest of a whole night's worth of a story? Wow, 12 hours went by. Look what happened since 5:30 p.m. yesterday. Does Mickey Mouse's story continue? No. It stopped exactly where he left off. Not so shocking to us, no? No, it's very profound. Why not? The one, because Mickey Mouse doesn't exist. So if you're going to bring him into existence, all right, whatever you make out of nothing into a something, whatever you do, that's what it will be. It's not going to continue. Meaning its existence isn't a given. It's in fact the opposite. Its non-existence is a given. This shouldn't exist unless you force it into existence.
How about the Talmud?
What about it?
Who created that? Did we help create that?
Well, let's not open up a new can of worms over here. I'm just trying to give a very basic example. If I have an imagination, let's say I come up with a character in my own mind. I come up with a character. There are some people who even live with imaginary characters. If I stopped thinking about my character when I was 7 years old, what happened to that character? Did he continue living? No. What happened to it? Didn't even die. It's not that something had to happen to affirmatively action remove it. It's something from nothing. Its default is nothing. So as long as I forcefully make it into a something, it will be a something. As much as a human being could make something into a something. We're not God. We can't make something as real as God can make something. But we can make something in our imagination. We can make a Mickey Mouse, but that's it. Whatever we make of it, we make of it. Nothing more. So that's the difference. If you think something which already exists, and then you make it into something new, then its given is that it's a something.
So I'm missing the point.
1 second. But if it's something from nothing, its default is that it's a nothing. Okay. Yes.
So did Walt Disney create Mickey Mouse or not?
He created the character.
But isn't that inspiration coming from beyond Walt Disney?
You could also say that he doesn't even get so much credit maybe for that.
It's coming through the vehicle of him, like the inspiration came through and he formed it into this shape from his skills and his physical beingness. And then you could also say that Mickey Mouse kind of took on a life of its own. Like this character then became, and not to say that it's the same as, well, I don't know, it's like where does God end and the humanity of creation begin?
So that's a very good question and a very good point of what's the relationship between. But here I'm trying to establish a very simple point. In order to understand in other words, we have to make sense of this concept that God has to actively create something. And the basic idea of it is very, very simple. Things will always go back to what its natural state is. I'll give you another example.
Unless you put your energy in it.
Unless you forcefully compel it to be different. Here's an example. I have a phone over here. Does this phone fly?
Only if you throw it.
I could throw it. And if I throw it, then what is it?
Flying phone.
Is it a flying phone? Can I sell it on eBay? One of a kind, flying phone.
Not yet.
Is it a flying phone?
No.
But it flew. Oh, what's the answer? Oh, it's a phone that doesn't fly, which happened to fly because some force compelled it. Literally forced it to become airborne. But what is it? It's not. So, does Mickey Mouse exist or not?
It exists because something is putting energy in it.
Oh, which
And
means...
whether I'm Walt Disney or I'm looking at the character and I'm infusing my own energy into interpreting it as personality, as relationship, as whatever. But isn't it the same for God? Because so anything exists while you're putting energy in it.
So what we're saying is what we're going back to is the same way you will not get a not flying phone into a flying phone unless you invest the energy to keep it flying at this moment, or as long as you could throw that energy into it. So too, the next scene of reality doesn't exist. The fact that existence was here a moment ago shouldn't be a given, because really the true nature of existence is nothingness. It doesn't exist unless God forces it into existence. I want to read with you a Hasidic text. This is from the Tanya, from part 2 of Tanya, which is where the Tanya has the philosophy of cosmology, mystical cosmology of Judaism. You signed up for a Kabbalah course, right? You get what you paid for over here. All right, Daniel, you're going to give us a read. Text 5, page 132.
Holding it together. This idea offers a clear response to those who deny divine providence.
Where are we?
and-
Page 132,
He's not.
text 5.
Yeah, he is.
I believe he is.
132.
132, following the Hebrew.
After the Hebrew.
This idea.
This idea.
This idea offers a clear response to those who deny divine providence and the miracles of the Torah. Their mistake lies in a false comparison. They imagine that God's creation of the heavens and the earth is like human craftsmanship. Just as a craftsperson might make a vessel and then walk away, with the vessel remaining intact, without the artisan's ongoing involvement, they assume the same is true of the world, that once created, it runs on its own. But they fail to see a critical difference. When humans create something, they're not creating from nothing. They just reshape existing material, like turning a piece of silver into a utensil. But God created the world out of absolute nothingness. That's a far greater wonder, even more astounding than the splitting of the sea. Take that miracle as an example. God used a strong east wind to split the sea, and the waters stood like a wall. But if the wind had stopped for even a moment, the waters would have immediately returned to their natural state and flowed back down, and they would not have continued standing as a wall on their own. So much more so with creation itself, which is something from nothing. That's beyond nature and an even greater miracle than the splitting of the sea. If God were to stop sustaining the world for even a moment, God forbid, it would vanish into nothingness. The world continues to exist only because his creative energy is constantly present within it, giving it life every second.
Okay, this is a big idea in Kabbalah, which deserves a lot more than just a half-hour, 40-minute primer. But this is the way Judaism, especially from the perspective of Jewish mysticism, understands what is the relationship between God and every moment of reality. It's not that God created it. It's not even that God is watching closely. It's not even that God chooses sometimes to intervene, or even more than often, whatever it is. It's that God is literally writing the script moment by moment, detail by detail. Let's go back to Mickey Mouse. So today Disney is already making 3D animations. But in the good old days, it was hand-drawn 2D cartoons, right? Now, it's hand-drawn. There's something like approximately 30 drawings per second. It's called frames, right? 30 frames per second. So somebody had to hand draw, not second by second, but frame by frame, which is 30 times in a second. Every slight movement. So if you want Mickey Mouse to walk quickly, then you have to make the movement of the legs to happen a little bit quicker. If you want it to happen a little bit slower, the artist has to be trained into how to make a very subtle movement frame to frame that shows slow movement. Now, if I'm an artist and I'm writing and I'm drawing a frame, and I want to make it look windy. The scene should look windy. So how am I going to convey visually that it's windy? I'm going to make stuff fly. We're going to make leaves fly in the air. And in my first scene, I make 15 leaves. Can I assume that just because I made the leaves in the last frame, they're still going to be there for the next frame? No, got to redraw them. Not just redraw them, but you have to decide exactly now, how are they moving? What's their orientation? Which way are they spinning? Are they going up? Are they going down? Are they landing? An artist has to think about all these details.
But the difference between Mickey Mouse and humans is that humans have free will.
We'll talk about that in a moment.
Oh.
No, we do. It's a non-negotiable truth of Judaism.
Only a choice between good and evil.
Oh, we have moral choices. Moral choices, we have free choices. Correct. But God is writing the script detail by detail with nothing in existence a moment before, which means God is a perfect producer. A good producer makes sure that the movie that comes out has no continuity errors, which would give away. Continuity errors is where you can tell clearly in the production that, oh, these are two different takes, right? It's just too noticeable that something is off. It doesn't look fluid, which then breaks the illusion of reality, right? A good film should somewhat, we buy into the lie that it's not really real, but we want to buy into the lie that we think it's real. All right, what's it called? The illusion of something. All right, so God does a perfect job. Everything looks good. The car is left in the driveway exactly where I left it the night before. But in truth, it doesn't exist. Nothing exists. Everything is always reverting back to not existing. And then God, every single moment, it's another frame that God has to actively create. So God is just as busy now as he was in the beginning of creation. Creation never ended. This is the Jewish belief. God is writing the script in real time. All right, I get this going very slowly. This is a little bit slower than how God does it moment by moment. But God is creating the world moment by moment. And therefore, here's the big punchline, which I want to segue to. So everything has a purpose. In other words, if creation has a purpose, and if creation is happening right now, and if not just general creation is happening right now, but the detail is being created right now, Kabbalah goes with this and says this changes the way we look at purpose in life. Not just that in general there's a purpose, but God, every single little detail is consciously thought out and decided and placed to the detailed of the detail. There's no good work like that. In Hebrew, there's a phraseology where you could, it's like, in details in Hebrew, for example, would be pratim. And if you want to say hyper detailed, you would say prate pratim or pirte pratim. So imagine in English there's a word like detailed, hyper detailed. That's God's design and the purpose within God's design. And this sets the stage for a major idea in Judaism called this. And I want to teach you the Hebrew of this. Hashgacha pratis or pratit, which means detailed divine providence. It's not there's a God out there who you could pray to, and that he knows what's happening, and he could do whatever he wants, and he can override any system of nature. No, it's the opposite. God is there at the beginning, designing, planning, and then rolling out every single detail of life. And Judaism goes with this to the far extreme. There's no detail that is outside of the purview of God's detailed divine providence. Even a minor detail like a little leaf flying in the air. Every detail of creation exists for a purpose and a reason. As crazy as it is to even imagine that, and this is why Jewish mysticism calls this a mystery. There's something very enigmatic about this. It's forever mysterious. God is running reality. Even one solitary leaf floating in the air. Which leaf was it? At what exact moment should it fly? Everything is planned out. Yes?
So then how do you equate like evil or evil doing in there? Because it's not an actual creation.
Now I want to teach you something about Jewish learning. This is going to answer your question and not answer it. I'll tell you something very interesting. Okay. So this past Monday, I was teaching my morning Tanya class. We have a Tanya class that happens every single week on Monday. It's been going on for a long time. We're almost done going through the whole book, over 100 classes by now. And I put it up online, like it's on Spotify and podcast platforms, more for the people who are part of the class. Just, the recording is out there. But I never publicized it. Anyways, I'm about to start my 11 o'clock morning class. And I see I'm getting a call on my phone from an Illinois number. And my caller ID app says that's from a law firm. A law firm in Chicago is calling me, which got me a little bit unnerved. Like, usually you don't want to be getting calls from random law firms because what does it usually mean?
Nothing good.
Usually not good, right? Someone has legal business with you, right? So it got me a little bit unnerved, but I got to go into the class. So I'm giving an hour class, tiny class in the morning, And afterwards, I see they left me a voicemail, like a good lawyer, and I listened to it. Oh, it's a Jewish lawyer who discovered my tiny class and wants to discuss it with me. Oh, wonderful. Okay, well, now we could handle. Anyways, I call him up. He tells me, I don't want to go through the whole story right now, but unbelievable. He's a Jewish lawyer in Illinois. What a shocker. He is like the typical American secular Jew. He says very secular, not engaged in Judaism. You know, I'm a professional. That's it. You know, do you know Chabad there? No, he lives in the suburbs. You know, and he says October 7th happens, and all of a sudden I feel a pull to get a little bit more connected. He says my whole group of friends, we go to Israel with the Jewish National Fund. That was a beautiful experience, and you know, we're all my whole group of friends were feeling a little bit more inspired. I have a friend down in St. Louis who is involved with the Chabad in St. Louis, and he says, you know, there's a great Chabad book. It's called the Tanya. I'm going to send you a copy because you know you're interested in exploring more. He sends him the Tanya in English. It's like a 1-volume classic English translation. He opens it up, he tries learning it, and he realizes right away that this is not a book that I'm capable of learning on my own. I would need somebody to teach this to me. So he puts it on his bookshelf and forgets about it. Anyways, then, however much longer later, he commutes every single day to his office in downtown Chicago. He takes the train, 40 minutes each way. He has time to, they say time to kill, but that's a terrible word. Killing time? God forbid. Use time. Yeah, he used to like listen to podcasts, politics, news. He's like, let me see if there's maybe some Jewish podcast I can listen to. He tries this podcast, that, nothing is sticking. He can't get himself to enjoy any of these podcasts. And then he remembers that, the guy gave me a Tanya. Let me see if somebody teaches Tanya on Spotify. And he finds my classes, and he's 15 classes. And he tells me, and he's like, I just love it. And he gives me all these praises about how engaging it is, and he's like, "How's that for a good for a good compliment?" I'm like, "That's wonderful." He says, "I sound like who do I sound like? You know who I sound like?" He's not the first one who told this to me. George Costanza. That's right. Guilty as charged. He says, "It's like I'm learning Tanya from George Costanza." You never thought of that?
Not until you just said it.
That is funny.
It does fit? I've heard that before.
You can be connected to him because he's Jewish also.
And he's Jewish. Maybe we're related somehow. So he's like, it's amazing. I'm like, it's a lot more entertaining because like I'm learning Tanya from George Costanza. Okay. What was that?
Why can't you learn Tanya alone? Is it I've never, I guess, paid attention.
The English translation is very, very dense. It's very difficult. It's the author, Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi, writes an introduction that really it's a book designed to learn with the teacher. It's a tight presentation, but you need somebody to really.
Chabad that does the Tanya, or
No. It's a best-selling book. It's a Chabad book, but it's not at all limited. In any case, he tells me he's into it. He's learning the Tanya. He says, and then when he goes to sleep, he falls asleep to it. He reviews the class he listened to that day. And he told me something which was an amazing line. He says, and I love it because every single class I finish, I have more questions than answers. Real good Jewish learning. Terrible Jewish learning is learning, and then feeling at the end is like, oh, okay, now I know things, and now I understand things, and now I'm like a professor now. I have more knowledge. The teacher did a terrible job if that's what you feel like. Real good Jewish learning makes you even more filled with mystery, more wonder, but not because you know less, because you know more, and you have so much more nuanced understanding, knowledge, so much more questions, which beckon you to go even further. And the deeper you go, the more questions. So there are advanced questions that come as you uncover more depth of reality. When you see things on a surface level, okay. You also give superficial answers to questions. So that was a long answer to your question, Lisa, that basically all of a sudden real questions start popping into this. So 1 second, how does evil work then? Yeah. We're biting into something more than we can chew in an hour and a half.
That's the free will part, right?
That's the free choice, and it's even more than the free choice, because there's my free choice, and there's the fact that evil just exists in reality. Is God doing that? Then is God at fault? But I want to keep this personal to our personal lives. Text 6. Let's read text 6. Richard, we're by you. Text 6, page 133.
Baal Shem Tov explains that Even a piece of straw or a torn leaf rolling in the street is subject to divine judgment. There is a decree for exactly how many times it should turn over, where it should roll, and in which place it should end up.
A leaf, which means it's one thing to say that God plans where there's going to be a major snowstorm. I could get around that. God plans when there's going to be a massive pandemic like COVID-19. That's easy to kind of say. This was, this is already a, like they say in the insurance policies, what? An act of God, right? Okay, there's already a big deal. There's a leaf flowing, but okay, when there's a storm and a leaf gets torn off a tree and flows, is that the act of God?
Sure.
That's not so sure. You could say, well, okay, maybe the big stuff are God. Maybe the little stuff isn't. And Judaism comes and says, no, that the hyper detailed, that little twig, which twig broke off, where it goes, why today, why not yesterday, everything is actually part of a master plan. It's not just part of a master plan, there's a specific reason for it. And therefore, Judaism says, the way that we have to go through life is to realize that nothing is just happening for no good reason. There's no such thing as chance, no such thing as luck, no such thing as coincidence. If something ever happens to you, it is never just that you are the collateral damage of something greater that needed to happen and you're just caught in the crosshairs. But there's a specific personal reason that involves your life for every single thing that happens. And that is the mystery of Hashgacha Pratis. Not only did God craft the global event that's happening, but He scripted every specific component of it, and you are part of that. Nothing is not part of the script. Nothing is not part of the purpose. I want to show you 2 videos right now, and then I want to bring this home, down to our conversation about us finding purpose over here. You ready for a video? Let's do a little video. Can I bother you to get the lights, Karen?
You're in your seat as the story begins. You notice the way he stands.
Don't
His
worry.
accent.
It's
His
just what it
jacket.
is.
You notice the gun on his belt, a symbol of bravado. But you didn't think he'd use it. Well, you should have, at least according to a rule known as Chekhov's gun. Anton Chekhov, the 19th century Russian playwright, taught that in a well-written story, every detail must serve the plot. If in the first act you hang a pistol on the wall, it should be fired in the next. Otherwise, don't put it there. In a masterful story, nothing is extra. Every prop has a purpose. Every line carries weight. Nothing is random. Is there a storyteller more masterful than the creator of the universe? Is there any story more layered than the one you're living?
One of Judaism's oldest mystical texts, Sefer Yetzirah,
The Book of Creation, describes God as a divine scribe, writing reality into being. We're not just characters in the story. We are the story. And just like a screen goes black when the projector stops, our world depends on God's light every moment. Creation isn't a one-time event. It's continuous, intentional, ongoing. If God stops writing, we stop being. And in His story, in your life, and in every event, every detail matters. Every scene, every object, every moment, every choice. If it's here, it has a role. Otherwise, it wouldn't be. Sure, things can look totally random, even horribly random at times. But the author gave us tools to seek the meaning, to live with purpose, even when the plot twists.
All right, you can keep the light off. I want to show you now another video. This is a cute children's video that I grew up with, a Chabad video. That was, the video was made out of like a bunch of, maybe like a dozen mini skits to teach different Jewish values, especially ones of that the Hasidic teachings highlights. So this is a video made 30 years ago. I grew up watching this as a child. I want to show you a little segment of this. I think you guys are going to get a good kick out of this. You ready?
Jede Sache, was entlädt sich in Welt, ist das nicht Chas v'Sholem Mikra, Nikra, zufällige Sache, dat das ist bei Ashgacha Pratis von den Menschen.
Now I have to walk to school. If only that light had been green, maybe I would make the bus.
No battle. Is that what we learned in class?
Oh, hello, Rabbi Byers.
All
I
right.
haven't seen you since you taught us in 4th grade.
And do you remember what we learned? I know, Battle. You must be upset about missing the bus, huh?
Yeah, that light wouldn't turn green.
But Battle, what about Hashgacha Pratis? You know that even making buses on time is all dependent upon what Hashem has in store for us. You know, Hashem has a master plan for everything in the world. And Hashgacha Pratis is always working, making sure that everything that happens is according to Hashem's plans. There's no such thing as coincidence. Hashem has designed everything that takes place, well, from the leaves that are fluttering in the wind to our meeting here today. Belle, you have a minute? I want to tell you a story.
Well, the bus would take longer to get to school than it would take me to walk, so a few minutes.
Good. Once, the Rebbe Rashab and his son, the Rebbe Rayatz, were traveling. On the way, they saw two Chassidim, Reb Peretz and Reb Mendel, on their way home from the town of Lubavitch and reviewing a mimer they had heard from the Rebbe. The Rebbe Rashab turned to his son and said, "You should know, for 5,661 years, 9 months, 11 days, 15 hours, and so many minutes, this place has waited for Peretz and Mendel to sit here and say Divrei Torah. Sometimes we know what Hashem plans, but sometimes we don't. Yet a chassid is always happy and calm because he knows that Hashem is always watching over us. And anything that happens, well, that's Bahashgacha Pratis. You know? Bahashgacha Pratis, I think you can help me. This letter has to get to Union Street. You see this address here? Do you think you can drop it off on the way to Yeshiva?
Yeah, but I have to leave right now.
Okay, thanks a lot. And have a great day.
Hey, how you doing, my man? Everything okay?
I'm looking for this address and I can't find it.
You can't find it? Well, hey, I'm a policeman. It's my job to know these things. I'll help you out.
Boy, is this Ashgacha Pratis.
What's that?
I don't know.
Let's see. Well, you got 1374, you got 1376. Okay, I see this doesn't have a number on it, but this must be 1378 right here. Okay, why don't we go check that out for you? Okay. Come on. 1370, all right, this should be it. How are you, sir?
Okay, everything all right?
Oh, everything is fine. Yeah, actually, I was just helping out my little buddy here. I believe he has a parcel for you.
A letter from Rabbi Byers.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
All right.
By the way, aren't you the officer that helped me a couple of weeks ago? My car stalled late at night?
Right, right. Oh, that was you over on Eastern Parkway and Brooklyn Avenue over here.
Right.
I remember. How's the car?
Oh, the car's fine.
Oh.
It's really nice to see you.
Likewise, likewise. I'm glad the car's running well now.
Well, I really want to thank you again for your help, but I was so flustered that night I just didn't get an opportunity to, get your name at all.
Oh, well, the name is Brooks, but, as they say in the trade, I was just doing my job. Okay, listen, take care.
Oh, that's not what a nice Ashgacha Pratis.
Oh, that's the second time I heard that expression in the last 2 minutes. What does that mean?
It's Hashgacha Pratis, and it means divine providence. Everything in the world is planned by God. Things don't happen just by chance. It's God that brings it all about. You see, because you helped that boy find my address, I got the opportunity to thank you personally for your help.
I see. Okay, now I understand. Oh, okay, well, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
You have a good day.
Thanks a lot. You too.
All the best.
Okay. Hey, Benji.
Hey,
How are you, Benji?
How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. Hey, you know, you're just the person I wanted to see.
Yeah, what for?
We have to discuss the permit for the street closing for your school.
Okay.
Boy, this is really hashgacha practice.
Huh?
All right, that's the story.
Have you shown that before? I've seen
I have, yes. You want to get the lights? I have shown this video before, but it's a goodie. Oldie and a goodie. So, dear friends, first of all, a side benefit of this concept is that it gives us something called resilience, optimism in life. There's two ways to go through life. One is I have expectations. I want things to come out a certain way, which means I think it will be meaningful if my plane leaves on time. That'd be pretty meaningful, no? And then what happens when you're at the airport and your flight's delayed for 2 hours? All of a sudden, what happens? You're in a bad mood. Oh no, my day's being ruined. Okay. So it's one thing to say, well, you know, maybe God has some master plan, and for some reason, somebody, somewhere, it's very important that the flight has to be delayed. Which means, now imagine if, you know, you would know that your flight being delayed is going to save somebody's life. So it's a nuisance for you, but somebody gets to live. Would that sit better with you? Would you be happier then? Yeah, I could do that. I could sit here for 2 hours wasting my time. Save somebody's life, yeah. So that's one attitude. Okay, something big had to happen and I'm a casualty of a very big, noble goal. That's not Hashgacha Pratis. Hashgacha Pratis is God needs me to be here in this place at this time, me and nobody else, for some reason. What's that reason? I don't know. Got to go figure it out. Or maybe not. Maybe meaning not that there's no reason, but maybe you won't know what the reason is. But it's a purpose that's for your personal life.
Could you say that again? What's that called?
Hashgacha Pratis. It's not in the book. I wish it was.
It is.
It is.
It is? Where is it?
Page 134, 135.
There. Oh, yeah, there you go. And you know, if you read this over here, they have here a few different exercises or thought of different ways to look at these things. The Jewish attitude is it's deeply personal. It's easy to say, how could God allow a Holocaust to happen? Did I just open up a can of worms? It's an easy question to ask because it's very impersonal. I can go through the Holocaust. So it's a question which doesn't have any personal relevance to me. You know what's my personal question to ask? Why do I have to take my daughter to the dentist tomorrow? That's my question. So one thing is to say, by the way, it's going to ruin my day tomorrow. I have lots to do tomorrow, so I have to cancel stuff, and all of a sudden, I'm not in the mood. Bad day. Bad day, God. Or, that's the right thing. I'm not writing the script of my life, God is. God needs me there. Everything is set up as planned. Why? I don't know. Maybe I'll find tomorrow, maybe I won't ever find out. But the attitude is, number one, stay calm, stay present, all is good. When things don't go as you planned, it's even better. God's telling you more clearly, I'm in control of you, don't worry. Just hold my beer, just take it easy. Watch what happens. You thought you were planning stuff? No, it's all okay.
So when you make a choice whether to attend the 11 o'clock class or the 7 p.m. class,
Even that's
you
Hashgacha
notice
Pratis.
no.
Now, even that's meaning, okay, so it was a choice. But how much of our choices are really our choices? So I made a choice which house to live in. Or did I? It technically is a choice, but it's also really not a choice. Which houses were on the market? Which house ended up being the one that fits our needs? And how did it even be that I ended up living in the city? It's Hashgacha Pratis guiding your way. So Kabbalah teaches that there are very few, usually tzaddikim, special righteous Jews, who are very divinely in tune. And God literally tells them what their mission in life is and where they need to be and what their specific mission is. For most people, Kabbalah tells us, we don't know. God doesn't tell us. And there's a reason why God doesn't tell us. Partially because it would be a very big imposition, no? Can you imagine if God actually told you, I need you to be doing this today? What was that?
So quit bothering me.
Right, exactly. So God does it a little bit more mysteriously. You wake up, you do have a mission today. There are things that you need to accomplish. There are people you need to see, people that need to see you, things that need to happen, places you need to visit, who knows why. And this is God's mysterious plan. And we have to trust it. And the plan is always working. So you wake up, there is a plan. Let me be on today. let me do my mission. I want to read a text with you. Very, very precious text. Text 9. Karen, we're up to you, right? Text 9, page 143. And this is a radical text. Only radical text today. Go ahead.
Everything is providence. Everything that God created in his world has purpose. He did not create a single thing in vain. The same is also true of all events and occurrences in the world. Nothing happens in vain. Everything is under divine providence. As a result of this, in the world, meaning in the personal world of each and every individual, there exists only God and the person. Everything else is merely a means through which the individual fulfills their service of God. Anything that does not pertain to their service of God is something they have no awareness of, for there is no thing or awareness that is in vain. The entire world, one's personal world, is nothing more than a tool and a medium through which they reach their purpose, the ultimate goal for which they were created.
It's deep. It's very deep. What Judaism says is, we have to imagine, because it is a truth, imagine that nothing else exists besides you and God. You have to just imagine that. You are the main actor in God's story. Everything else is a supporting casts and the supporting environment for your critical mission. And everything that happens to you in your life is not to support somebody else's mission, but from your perspective, it's only about me. This happened to me because God needs me in this circumstances and this with my personality to be doing this. Now, the crazy thought is, one second, if I'm thinking that and you're thinking that, we can't both be the main actors here. Who's the main actor? God. And they know, and the answer is they're both true. From God's perspective, God is infinite, and both could be true at the same time. Every single one of us could walk around and have this attitude, not as a narcissist, the opposite. I have a critical mission to God. Maybe other people also have critical missions, but nobody has my mission. And for what God made me for, my mission is most critical. That's all that I need to be in tune to. Whatever happens, it's exactly where I need to be. So therefore, what Judaism will tell us is, there's 2 steps to finding purpose in life. Number 1 is be on as a Jew. What does it mean, be on as a Jew? There are certain things that God didn't hide from us. God told us explicitly what he wants of us. A Jew should be doing mitzvahs every single day. Should be studying Torah every single day. A Jew should be being there for others every single day. That's an attitude. We're always on for others. And we are always looking to refine, to grow. 3 things. We know for a fact this is our mission. Whether we're 3 years old, 30, or 93. This is what we're here for. If I'm alive today, I'm a Jew. God has mitzvahs for me to do. I need it, which includes studying Torah. I need to be there for other people. And I need to be growing. Now, and then there's the personal circumstances of every single moment of life. So step 1 is simply, your mission on a basic level is clear. Be on as a messenger. Be on as somebody who's dispatched on the field. Be on as a Jew. You could be a Jew, but you're not on as a Jew. Be on as a Jew. Be in the mode. And step 2, allow the mission to unravel right in front of you. If you get a flat tire and you got to go to the mechanic, that's all part of it. It's all going as planned. Step 2 is your mission is exactly where you are. Follow the clues. If I ended up living in the city, that's part of my mission. If I ended up knowing you guys and not other people, it's a big city, I could have known a lot of other people. But I know all of you. That's part of my mission. If I got here 5 minutes later than I expected, it's all part of it. Everything is part of it. It's a different way to look at life. It's a family who I know. A relatively young man with children, some adult children, but young guy. All of a sudden, one day, he gets hit with a crazy illness. And he's stuck in the hospital for a few weeks, and the family freaks out. You know, a young man, all of a sudden, he's in the hospital. They wrote a letter. This family wrote a letter to the Rebbe. This is in the 1980s. They wrote a letter to the Rebbe saying, "What did our father do to deserve this punishment from God?" That was like the attitude, obviously God's punishing him. The Rebbe, they got a call from the Rebbe's secretariat saying the Rebbe just gave us an answer to give you guys. And the Rebbe's answer is like this: as soon as your father completes the mission for which he was sent to the hospital for, that is when he's going to be going back home. Which is like the total opposite. One is God's punishing me. The other one is, no, God needs him there. Hashgacha pratis brought your father. Who knows why? We don't know why. Sometimes we know why. And it's a very beautiful thing when we can look back and say, wow, now I know why that needed to happen. And sometimes we look back and we don't know. Does every leaf know why it's flying? We have to also allow that there's something greater happening through us. Maybe we don't even know what it is. Just a little example. I was just flying, yes?
Is there a responsibility to listen? Like, is there a responsibility to stay in attunement in any way, to listen to, meaning, concrete example, if somebody is always late, and what part of that is they're needing to shore up their lateness,
100%.
and what part of that is it's
Yeah. Don't blame God for your inability to get a grip on your own life. Yeah. No.
Yeah, like where's the
So that's a very good question. No, God gave us, and it's very clear in the Torah, we have responsibility for our own life, for our own well-being, and including personal growth. And there is a responsibility for our actions, which is part of a much larger discussion of where do you draw the line. And the basic idea is whatever is in our choice, that's something which we have to choose. But anything that's even beyond our choice, even a slight bit, we have to know that there's a much greater force. But at the end of the day, the lines do get blurred, and because God is infinite and we are not, it makes it a little bit difficult for our puny, finite minds to fully wrap our heads around God's infinite ways of working. But no, 100%. Moral responsibility is in our hands. I'll give you a little example. I was just coming back 2 weeks ago from New York. I was by the annual conference of all the shluchim, which I shared about with. Maybe I'll show you a video. I want to show you actually a video about this right after. And so I come to the airport, LaGuardia Airport, and I bought a flight. Why did I buy this flight and not another flight back home? Right, mix of price, time. All right, a lot of stuff. Cheapest flight. Okay, that's the flight I'm on. And I ended up getting a taxi, and I shared a taxi with some other guys. And their terminal made sense to go drop them off at their terminal before my terminal, so I have to sit in the car while they get up, and then they have to drive me 10 minutes. LaGuardia Airport's a mess. Go to the other terminal, and I'm at the TSA line, TSA pre-check. Thank God for TSA pre-check, especially you have to realize as like a rabbi, I have like a lot of layers of stuff. It's very helpful not having to get it all off. Okay. In any case, I'm there by I recently actually tried to make like a conscious effort to like be more like in this mode of like I'm on a mission wherever I am. Everything is for a purpose. So what do most people do when you're at TSA line? You put in all your stuff. It goes to the machine. It takes like a few minutes till your stuff get out. So what are you doing in those few minutes? Most people are just staring at their phones, doing absolutely nothing. But it's like awkward to like stand around. So it's like, so I deliberately don't. I don't touch my phone. And I'm like, I don't know, there's people here. Let me say hi to somebody, or I don't know. Who knows who I'll meet? I actually met some fascinating people in airports simply by just, not being annoying, but just saying hi to people. And then just the conversation happens. I met the co-owner of Straits Masa. I met a very big lawyer who's on TV a lot, based out of Atlanta, Jewish lawyer who does a lot of civil defense cases for anti-Semitism. Very interesting. I had a conversation with him. It's just, interesting people. There's a lot of interesting people to meet. Anyways, I'm there at TSA. Right behind me is not elderly, but relatively elderly couple.
Like my age.
No, you're yeah, just like Doug.
Yeah.
And okay, we guys traveling, Houston, coming, going. They're going back home to Houston. Jewish couple. So I say, hey, would you like to put on tefillin? We meet up here, LaGuardia Airport, 7:05 in the morning. So he's like, no, I think I'll take a pass. I say, but wouldn't it be such a good story if we put on tefillin right here at the security line? He's like, all right, I'll do it. That's what did it. All right. So I pulled out my tefillin. He's like, these are your tefillin? I'm like, yeah, this is my tefillin. And right there, we got our stuff, and there's a table right there by the American Airlines terminal, right off of TSA Pre. There's they have like the tables and benches there. Put on tefillin. I should have showed you the picture. I have the picture on my phone. I don't know. Maybe that's what God needed me there to be. But if I was on my phone, not looking at anybody, that probably wouldn't have happened. That was absolutely. I could have come to the TSA pre-check line 2 minutes earlier, missed them. 2 minutes later, 30 seconds, I would have missed them. I say, everything is... Now, it was a nice moment. I got to say, that was a good thing, why it happened. And nothing bad happened to me, so, I didn't have to get in a bad mood. But every moment of life is that. It's not that it happened to me once upon a time. Today, that's my story today. Who knows why? So, dear friends, what we need to be going through in life is always asking, what's the personal meaning for me in this moment? Why am I here? Try to think those questions. There's meaning in everything. It doesn't depend on your ability to see it. And dear friends, the message of this class is we have to stay in tune, stay awake to the fact that there's divine presence in our lives. We have to look for divine presence in all things, and that will give us clarity and direction. So dear friends, stop asking, what is my meaning in life? And start simply living and being present in life. If you're going to shopping, just be with eyes open. If you're going to go fill up gas, just be present. The mission is happening in real time. You don't need to look for it. God is serving it to you on a silver platter. All that's waiting for us is to show up for it. And when you have that mindset, you'll be shocked at how many times you'll all of a sudden pick up this moment. Dear friends, it's 8:32, which means we're going to conclude today's class. Next week is our finale. I mean something, therefore I am, and I want to show you a little video if you have a few minutes, which ties into today's class.